This is the High School Crossfire. Welcome back.
The August House, the two parties, and the jury, I greet you all good afternoon. It has been resolved. This House believes the UN should intervene militarily in other people's wars, and I gladly propose this resolution. Allow me to start by rebutting some of the wrong insights that were given by our first negator. What did he say? He came and raised an argument against our parameter, which we had stated as the world at large. And I had said before that 193 countries, which are member states of the UN, are spread all over the 6 continents on planet Earth. Meaning, if we had set the parameter as the world at large, all these countries, all the continents are well catered for. What is your argument in going against the parameter of the world at large? Secondly, he came here and raised a big fallacy that the UN intervened peacefully in South Sudan. This is a lie. I would love to present to this House evidence. According to the South Sudan Tribune of 13th June 2013, the UN, through the Uganda People's Defense Forces, which is an army, and a set of peace enforcers from China intervened militarily in Juba, which is in South Sudan. And this is a photo taken of the peace enforcers who had intervened militarily in South Sudan. So I don't get his point of, not granted, I don't get his point of saying that the UN intervened peacefully, yet we have clear-cut evidence that peace worked in South Sudan. And next to that, allow me to go to Article 42 of the United Nations Charter. Chapter 7, what does it say? Should the UN Security Council consider, granted.
Who is the current head of the United Nations Supervision Mission in South Sudan?
Not relevant. I would like to continue by saying, should the United Security Council consider the measures provided from the Article 41 to be inadequate? If the measures which you stated, peace, if we apply peace and we realize it is inadequate, it is not producing the sufficient results, the UN, the United Nations, which is permitted in Article 42 to overrule the earlier suggestion in Article 41. So we are lawfully allowed to enforce, to use military means. Next to that, allow me to give...
POI?
Not granted. Allow me to give an insight on the United Nations Security Council. What does it say? The United Nations Security Council is one of the organs of the United Nations charged with the maintenance of international peace at all costs. Do you mark the word at all costs? Meaning, our military intervention in any conflict, as long as it is on planet Earth, is legal. Logically, what the UN needs to do to intervene militarily is a line of action that has not failed before. We as the proposers have one. So before you come here and say peace, we should use peace. Peace talks are some of the most failing lines of action as far as maintaining peace is concerned. So what line of action does the UN have as we the representatives? We are giving you the 13 chapters. What are the 13 chapters? Allow me to talk about Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu somewhat stands apart from the later debate because he emphasizes the use of force as a last resort, which should be taken in case of significant failure. So now, if the UN has intervened through a theory that has worked before, we want you to come here and present to the House anywhere you have heard that the art of war, specifically the 13 chapters, have failed, and we as the UN will gladly enforce peace, use your peace as a line of action. With that, I would love to rest my case.
Thank you. My name is Issa Tariq Aziz from Jinja College. Resolved, this House believes that the UN should intervene militarily in other people's wars. Dear members of the House and our dear judges, I'm really perplexed that our farmers are coming out to tell us that their parliament is the whole world. I want to question them that, is the whole world at war right now? You're talking about wars. Are we having war in Uganda? How are you going to intervene where there is no war? You're talking about military intervention. Dear members of the House, we've chosen our parliament as South Sudan because peaceful means were used and the war was combated. They are now at peace. War has stopped. Then, if they are intervening militarily, how can they talk about peace? How can they talk about peace? Are they going to bring peace through military means? Dear members of the House, this is not true. You cannot bring out peace when you're bringing weapons to kill the civilians. How are you going to protect the civilians in the wars that you're going to intervene? And which level of war are you going to intervene in? Even the war at home between mom and dad, that's also war. So are you also going to intervene in these wars? Dear members of the House, continue. They say that protection of civilian objects, they can't be protected. Why? They are going to use military means. They are going to use weapons. They want to kill the civilians. If you use peaceful means, as it was used in South Sudan, you won't have all this. And our first thing document tells us that we don't want bloodshed. That's why we are advocating for peaceful means. But there are farmers who want to kill people. That's why they are advocating for the use of military means. They came here and lied to the Augustals that the war in South Sudan has not stopped. This is a lie. The war in South Sudan has been combated, and this is according to UN.org. Continue.
POI.
Granted.
I'd like to. The peace talks you're talking about have failed in South Africa. They have South Sudan. They have failed in Burundi. They have failed in Rwanda. They have failed in Iraq. They have failed in Israel. So please give us 5 countries where your peace talks have failed, and also give us anywhere you know of where the 13 chapters have failed rather. Thank you.
He's lying. The peace talks have not failed in South Sudan. I continue. They're saying that they are going to use military means, but they are going to use military means. Tell me one country where military means have been used and war was combated and war was brought to an end. There's no any country in the world where peaceful means are used, where military means are used, and the war was brought to an end. Tell me, Augustals, why are we saying that we should not...
Point of information.
Not granted. Why are you saying that we should use peaceful means, not military means? One, we don't want the civilians to be killed. If you bring up weapons...
Point of information.
Not granted. If you bring up weapons, you want to kill, you're going to destroy nature. So you don't want to destroy nature. This is a gift from God. Another thing, when there is war, there's violation of the human rights. Sister speaking. During war, as the farmers are talking, that they are going to bring the weapons and combat the war forcefully. They are going to be violating the human rights. And I don't think the UN is supposed to violate the human rights. Then the economy will be affected. If you bring up weapons that want to stop war, you're going to cause more war economically. So we don't want to bring up this. Since an agreement was got to in South Sudan, these are the notable changes. Opposition politicians are moving free in the capital of Juba. Number 2, there has been a drop in political violence. Number 3, 2.3 million South Sudanese have left the countries that they're going to as refugees and now back to their country. I rest my case.
This is the High School Crossfire. We'll be back in a minute.